Welcome to Connect to Florida. Today we are going to be talking about whether or not you can afford to move to Florida. So I do consultations all week long on this channel, and yes, people want to know about the best area that might be a good fit for them as it relates to their real estate goals, their overall lifestyle that they're looking to live here in Florida. But some of the common questions that come up that I'm going to address here today are things like car insurance, homeowners insurance, grocery prices, entertainment, all of the things that revolve around living in an area. I always say you don't know what you don't know, and I'm going to try to clear up some of that in today's video. So if this is the first time we're meeting and you just so happen to click on this channel, I am so glad you're here. My name is Barrett Pastor, and I've been a real estate broker for 27 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and I can help you navigate all things Florida related. Now I'm going to leave a link down in the description box and also right here. If you'd like to do a consultation, I would love to get some information from you, hear about what your goals are, and we'll get everything worked out for you. All right, you might want pen and paper if you're interested in moving to Florida. Take some notes on this one. All right, so let's start with the obvious, which is homeowners insurance. A lot of people will ask me, how much is the homeowners insurance going to be? Just roundabout roughly. That's what people usually say. So I'm going to give you some roundabout roughly on the insurance, because I know you don't have to be right on the target, but you don't want to guess that it's going to be $2,000 a year based on what you know from your home state, and it turns out to be $12,000 a year. So let's talk through some generalities. Depending upon where you buy, that is the most important thing. If you buy in a floodplain, your insurance is going to be higher. You can very easily go online if there's a house you're interested in, and you can look up the flood zone. So it might say flood zone X500. It might say AE. All of these are flood determinations. That is important, and that'll give you an indicator of whether or not you're going to need flood insurance. Now, that's one layer, the elevation of the home. There are other things that play a really important part in all this. And remember, I'm speaking in generalities. So let's say you're not on water. Now, by on water, I mean big water. I'm not talking about those little lakes in a community. That's not a big deal at all. Don't worry about that. I'm talking about a river, a bay, a canal, those type of things. So if you're not on a floodplain and we're just talking about homeowners insurance, generally speaking, if the home is newer and updated, you can figure in the ballpark of about 1%. That is a good determiner. Is that a formula that anybody is going to give you that you can take it to the bank? No. But if you're looking for generalities, that's a good one to use. So if you spend $400,000 on the house and it's a single family home and you need to insure the roof and everything around it, we're not talking about condos or villas where the HOA is going to pay for the roof, because that's the big expense. I'm talking about single family home. Usually 1% will get it done. All right, second one, cars. People always ask, is the car insurance more expensive in Florida? And I would say that yes, it is. I would say it is a little bit more expensive in Florida. Here's the other problem. It's really hard to bundle. So you know how you get a break if you bundle things together? It's really hard to do that in Florida because the big carriers, there's really only one or two in Florida. Right now it's kind of like a potpourri of unknown carriers. So it's hard to bundle everything together. But yes, the car insurance is higher. How much higher? I don't know. It depends how you insure, but anticipate that I really doubt it's going to be lower than what you're paying in your home state. All right, food. Is the food more expensive? So here's what I would say about that. It is not more expensive I don't think for the most part, if you play your cards correctly. So if you shop in 34102, which is a Naples zip code, 34103, if you shop in the areas, think about Sarasota, if you shop in the downtown area, if you grocery shop anywhere that's in close proximity to where people are vacationing, you're going to pay more money. The buy one, get ones that are available a lot at Publix, they're not going to be available. So a lot of times people will say, there's no way, I can't imagine. Listen, test it out. I have tested that out myself. If I go farther away from the tourist traps, the groceries are a lot less expensive than they are right there near the beach. So Publix is the main grocery store in Florida, and I'm going to speak to Southwest Florida. So you also can do your grocery shopping at Walmart. I know a lot of people do that, and also Target. Coconut Point in Estero, there's a Target there, and their groceries there are really, really nice. I like doing my grocery shopping there. But that said, let's look at Publix. So here's the weekly ad in Naples. We have corn at 5 for $2. Here's some pricing on meat right here. $15.99 for New York strip. Mushrooms. These are the specials. Here's your buy one, get ones. So this is actually really nice. Now here's the thing. We are in the off season. You're always going to see better pricing during the off season. So would it be a good idea to stock up on meat if you have a freezer in the off season? It really would. Now, you know, there's some things, obviously you cannot buy fresh fruit early on like that and take advantage, but you know, you could go to Sam's, you can go to Costco. If you have a freezer, it is a good idea to do that. But Publix, you'll get a lot of good buys during the off season. To me, when you take away, so if it's not a food that's processed, like for example, you know, these pork sliders, if you go get one of those and they have to prepare it, then you do have to pay taxes on it. But other food, all the rest of the food, for the most part, there's no taxes on it. So to me, I feel like the grocery prices really balance out. And I think if you took it per year, I would say that, in my opinion, groceries are actually lower than the Midwest, which is where I'm from. All right, drinks. Things like margaritas, wine, beer, whatever. I don't personally drink, but you know, I exist in the world and I go out with people and other people drink. I cannot believe the cost of a drink, the cost of like a daiquiri or a margarita. I kid you not, it's usually $12 on something like that, kind of a fluffy, fruity drink, $12, $14. It is insane to me. There are places like Snook Inn on Marco Island I really like. Their drinks are through the roof. My husband likes these rum runners, I think they're called, and it's literally almost $20 for one of those. So drinks are really, really high. Entertainment. If you want to try out a new restaurant, something like that, you want to go listen to music. So the good news is a lot of things are free. So listening to music on 5th, listening to music, having a couple appetizers on 3rd Street, a lot of times that's free. Obviously not the appetizers, but if you go during the off season, all of the businesses, you know, they're fighting for dollars, you know, because there's not as many tourists. So you're going to see really, really good buys. That's the time to try out new restaurants. You don't have long waits at the restaurants. So they might do buy one full dinner. They'll give you like a menu of appetizer and then your main meal and a dessert, sometimes even a glass of wine, and then you get one free. A lot of restaurants do that. So that's the time you want to go try new things out. Listen to music, like I said, that's free. Farmers markets, even things like going kayaking, going to the zoo. in the off season, everything is going to be less expensive. And you know, a lot of people that are local, they don't really want to get out in fighting the traffic and the crowds in January, February, March anyway. So a lot of people that live locally, they're doing everything in the off season anyway. So I would say, as far as entertainment goes, especially, you may not know this, the beaches. So let's say you live in Collier County or Lee County, you can get a beach pass. Now, not every single beach, but most of them, you can park free. So that's really nice as well. I really think in terms of entertainment, because just being outside, there's so many things that are free, going shelling, things like that. I would say the entertainment as a whole is going to be less expensive and much more fun than other areas up north. Let's do one more. What about utilities? So Collier County is going to raise their utilities. I heard 23%. Don't quote me on that to the penny, but that is what I heard, 23% higher, that FPL is going to raise utilities. Generally speaking, you don't see a whole lot of people with natural gas. Some communities are doing that now, but in the past, everything was electric. So you've got water, trash, sewer, cable, things like that. Most people don't have a phone. I would say the electricity is going to be higher in Florida for the most part, depending on how you are. You know, if you're somebody that is going to leave your air conditioning off through the winter months, you might. I do a lot. You get a beautiful breeze through there. So in my opinion, all in all, at the end of the year, it's probably going to be slightly higher depending on what state you're coming from, but probably not by much. Now, if you are somebody that only comes to Florida during season, January, February, March, your costs are going to be higher because you don't have the benefit of balancing it out through the year, because we're very much of an area where off season, let's say 6 months, shoulder season and off season, 6 months of that versus during season, it's going to be almost across the board half in the off season. So if you're only coming during season, you're going to be paying the highest prices possible. So that would be a different scenario for you. But if you're thinking about coming and moving to Florida full time, then I would say that you're probably going to be the slightest bit cheaper overall. Now let me know down in comments, is there anything I didn't address that you're really interested in to know what the costs are? Leave it down in comments so that everybody can help each other.